I'm a former national champion swimmer. Technically. That's factually accurate, and I have the medal and the t-shirt to prove it, but it does feel a little bit disingenuous to say so for a couple of reasons. Let me explain. Back in the olden days when I was at the University of Notre Dame, which is probably when many of you were still doing crayon art in your first grade classes, I was actually not on the women's swim team, but I was fortunate enough to be allowed to practice with them in their morning swims. They let me have a lane at their 5 a.m. swims before my 8 a.m. classes. For the record, swimming year-round in South Bend, Indiana is not for the faint of heart. I cannot count the number of times where my hair would still be just a little bit damp, and on the walk from the pool to my 8 a.m. class, by the time I got there, it would be frozen solid, ready to crack off, icicles hanging off my head. I digress. So after my morning swim, I would typically do an afternoon workout, which was either getting back in the pool, this time on my own without the team, or I would hit the weight room, or I'd go for a long run. I kind of had a vague idea that I might want to do triathlons, and in talking about that, somebody at some point mentioned, hey, you might want to consider open water endurance races. I hadn't even known that such a thing existed, but it made a lot of sense, right? Just for the absolute avoidance of doubt, every single woman on that swim team was much, much faster than me. But pretty much no one could outlast me. Let's fast forward 3 years. The 2.5K and the 5K open water swims were held simultaneously, same day, same time, such that even if you had qualified for both, you had to choose in advance. You could only register for one or the other. Now, it just so happened that for whatever reason, the 2.5K event was stacked that year. I'm talking about everyone that was truly competitive had, for whatever reason, elected the 2.5K rather than the 5K, but no one seemed to realize this until the day before. Now, all credit to the race organizers. A lot of people were asking to switch to the 5K. 20-year-old me just realized, hey, my chances of getting a medal just went up dramatically, really through no effort of my own. It was just the hard work to get to that point and then some luck sprinkled in. And lo and behold, I did end up winning the race. And that gives me the right to say that I did win a very niche and obscure national championship, the women's 5K open water wetsuit division national championship. I mean, at the time, I was quietly stoked and quietly proud of myself, but I actually didn't even really mention it to anyone when I got back to campus. I barely even told my own parents about it. That's not exactly what people mean or what they're thinking of when they say, hey, I won a national championship. So this story isn't sort of roundabout humble brag about something that actually looks better when it's just a line in my bio and you don't know the full context behind the story. When you're pursuing excellence as an end in itself, no matter what happens on your journey, it's worth it. But success often does follow when you are putting in what I call radical enthusiasm and a growth mindset into anything. Success often does materialize, even if it's not in the way that you originally expected. So for that reason, I'm here today to basically encourage you to treat excellence as a valid end in itself and see what happens. Success usually does follow, even if it's not in the form that you originally hoped for or expected. When you start seeing these little victories, embrace them if they align with your vision of who you are or who you want to be or become. In reality, those little victories can help sustain you when you feel like no one else really cares about what you're doing, or they don't understand why you're doing it, or they even try to undermine you because it makes them feel insecure in their own, frankly, mediocrity or stagnation. When you approach whatever it is that you do with radical enthusiasm and a growth mindset, those background voices, for better or for worse, start to matter a whole lot less. And when you do that, no time is wasted. The effort is the end in itself. Excellence is the destination, but success often hitches a ride. So if you've made it to the end of another one of these struggle, learn, persist videos, I thank you. If you were to like and subscribe, I wouldn't be mad about that either. All right, thanks for joining me and have a great weekend, everyone.